Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the Managing Director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing visa services and U.S. tourist visa applications to the United States of America. When I say U.S. tourist visas, I'm going to go ahead and use that as a blanket term to describe either a B1 visa, a B2 visa, or a B1/B2 visa, all of which I'm going to go ahead and just be referring to sort of broadly as a tourist visa to the United States. I've had this question posed of me many times with respect to tourist visa applications. Will I take a tourist visa application? And in point of fact, I have not done a great number of tourist visa applications, lo these 11, 12 years I've been doing immigration work. Quite frankly, because oftentimes there's very little value added that I can provide. And also because the likelihood of denial, especially through the U.S. Embassy here in Bangkok under the circumstances where I see inquiries regarding U.S. tourist visas, oftentimes the likelihood of denial is quite high. And I say this because in many cases we're talking about oftentimes single Thai women who are in a relationship with an American citizen or a lawful permanent resident of the United States, and they want to get a tourist visa to go visit that individual. Unfortunately, pursuant to Section 214B of the Immigration Nationality Act, it's a very, very tough threshold to overcome to get over that section. And there's other videos on this channel specifically on Section 214B of the Immigration Nationality Act. But to sort of concisely describe it in this video, it basically requires the immigration, or I should say the consular officer adjudicating a tourist visa application to undertake an analysis where they need to see that the applicant shows strong ties to Thailand or any other country where they're applying from, and weak ties to the United States. Unfortunately, where there are, in the cases that I see quite frequently where people are seeking tourist visas to the USA, those folks are going to go ahead. Those folks are basically in a situation where, as I said, it's generally a Thai female. She's in a relationship. Now, it may not quite rise to the level of a fiancé relationship or even a marital relationship, and but they do want to go ahead and try to get a tourist visa. So oftentimes the purpose is so that individual can see the United States, etc. And the officer at the embassy just goes ahead and denies pursuant to Section 214B. That under those circumstances, denials are quite often. And for this reason, and I'm making this video because, as I said, I have not done a number of those visa applications in the past out here in our practice with respect to U.S. immigration, mostly because, one, we can't add a great deal of value, and two, the likelihood of denial is strong. It's really, really high. And for that reason, I think it's not ethically correct to go ahead and take those kind of cases because of the likelihood of denial. Now, that being said, if people want to go ahead and apply on their own, as long as they're telling the truth to the U.S. Embassy in their visa application, great. But as a point of, I don't take those cases very often. And the thing that I'd like to convey in this video is be careful with a visa agency, visa company, whatever, who basically says, oh, yeah, no problem, this is going to be great. The likelihood of being approved on a tourist visa application is not guaranteeable. And in fact, I would argue that the likelihood under circumstances I described previously in this video, the likelihood is actually very disfavorable. And in fact, it's very likely that a denial will be issued with respect to an application for a B1, B2 under similar circumstances. So the thing to take away from this video is the likelihood of denial is fairly high, especially pursuant to Section 214B of the Immigration Nationality Act. In my opinion, little value can be added by an immigration attorney under those circumstances. Now, there are some folks that just want assistance with that. We've done them in the past. Generally speaking, though, I don't particularly like to do them, especially now where it can all pretty much be done by the applicants online, especially now with the DS-160 being essentially an online application tool. And again, this goes back to the issue of value add. Is the attorney adding any value? Or more importantly, or more pertinent to this video, is this visa company adding any value? You know, again, if things like translations and things like that, yes, there are services that can be provided, but one can go obtain their own translations on their own. Why do they need a visa company to facilitate application for these kind of visas? In my opinion, it's not overly necessary. And the other thing is you need to be really careful when dealing with some of these operators, because frankly, they oftentimes, and I've seen this anecdotally, I've actually seen this firsthand when dealing with cases on behalf of clients who've dealt with other services who've been told to lie. It's not unheard of for these kind of operators to go ahead and tell people to lie, and that can result in huge problems down the road. Not only could it be construed as immigration fraud, but it could result in the finding of fraud and misrepresentation, which is a legal ground of inadmissibility, which in a subsequent case, for example, again, a single Thai woman with an American boyfriend, a subsequent fiancé visa case or a marriage visa case, you could have serious problems if there was a finding of fraud and misrepresentation, and then you're trying to file for a subsequent case. So the thing to take away from this video, to sum it all up, and rounding it all out, the denial rate could be fairly high, especially in the context of Thailand. You're also looking at what kind of value is really being added by this so-called visa service. And finally, you're going to want to be very aware that A, it could probably be done on your own. You could probably do it on your own, but also take things that some of these operators say with a grain of salt, because lying with respect to the U.S. immigration process is never a good idea just from sort of a moral and ethical standpoint, but it could also lead to substantial legal consequences, especially with respect to a finding of fraud and misrepresentation.